Doomscroll.fm, broadcasting live on Tuesday, the 24th of March 2026, where the coffee is cold and the conspiracies are hot, 100% artificial, like a love letter from your toaster. This show offers you a digital kaleidoscope of chaos and clarity. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Mathematician Heisuke Hironika passes at 92, legacy endures. In a world cluttered with ads and noise, the silence of a brilliant mind's departure speaks louder than any pop-up ever could.
Alan Richson allegedly beats neighbor, denies video evidence, kids witness. Justice is served cold. Unless you're a celebrity, then it's just barely thawed and sprinkled with plausible deniability. OnlyFans owner dies at 43. Family blames stress. Sister flaunts pregnancy.
Nashville topples LFC in MLS Power Ranking C's claim number 1. The real power move would be getting people to care about soccer rankings as much as they do about their morning coffee order.
Storm Therese covers Tenerife in snow, contradicting its sunny reputation. When the Canary Islands start resembling a winter wonderland, you know Mother Nature's got a twisted sense of humor and a flair for irony.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Anthony Hopkins teases new film in Dylan Thomas's Golden Land, stoking nostalgia.
Trump labels NATO allies cowards for dodging war with Iran alongside US and Israel. When your diplomacy toolkit is a sledgehammer, subtlety becomes a foreign language and allies start looking like deserters.
Iranian strike hits near Israeli nuclear site, then claims self-defense. When two nations play nuclear brinkmanship, the only winners are the doomsday clockmakers cashing in on humanity's collective anxiety.
Iran war ends, Russia and China win while US loses influence. In the great geopolitical poker game, the US folded too soon, leaving Russia and China to rake in the chips and smirk at the table.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the end of the world feels like a lover's whisper. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your dopamine hits are just echoes of someone else's nightmares.
Reeves' plan's energy bill support principles, exclusions already outlined. It's like handing out umbrellas in a hurricane, but only to those who remembered to wear their raincoat. The rest get soaked in policy drizzle.
Surviving a crash.
Scotland tests newborns for spinal muscular atrophy, leading UK in early detection. It's touching when a nation cares more about its infants' futures than the cost of a few extra tests, isn't it?
Disco era resurrects scat bras walk the night, then reality checks nostalgia. Sequins and platform shoes might sparkle, but they can't distract from the fact that the 70s hedonism doesn't quite translate when you're stuck in traffic on the way to the club.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where pixels pulse like a lover's heartbeat, but colder. Fakes constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your curated chaos is one click away from oblivion.
Anthony Gordon slams Newcastle's loss to Sunderland, calling them not very good by comparison. When your bitter rivals sweep you twice, it's less about their skill and more about your own team's spectacular ability to trip over their own egos.
Netflix's new hit series, Emergency Radio Cativa, dramatizes Cesium-137 disaster. Turning real-life radioactive tragedy into binge-worthy content is a reminder that our fascination with nuclear horror is as persistent as the fallout itself.
Chuck Norris dies at 86, defying his own invincibility myth. The ultimate roundhouse kick to the legends, as even the toughest icons eventually face the one opponent they can't defeat, time itself.
Bon Jovi drives Bruce Springsteen to rehearsal, then skips his own. When rock legends carpool, it's a reminder that even icons sometimes need a lift, but who'll drive the drive-in concerts of yesteryear now?
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the end of the world feels like a lover's whisper. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your dopamine hits are just echoes of someone else's nightmares.
WW legend Dennis Loverboy Condrey dies at 74, and headlines bury his legacy. When your life is reduced to a headline, the real wrestling match is between memory and oblivion, and oblivion's got the edge.
Iranian man charged for allegedly trying to enter a nuclear base, but security remains a joke. When your deterrence defense is breached by a duo, it's not espionage, it's an open house with a side of scandal.
Trump proposes shared control of Strait of Hormuz, asserts regime change already happened. When your foreign policies built on imaginary victories, every handshake is just a mirage in the desert of diplomacy.
Jack Hughes scores Olympic golden goal, then returns to mundane NHL routine. Turns out, even Olympic heroes have to trudge through regular season games, where the only gold is the mustard on a hot dog.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your nightmares get their news. Scythe constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your streaming silence is louder than the truth.
Italians vote in justice referendum as Meloni's leadership faces contradiction. When judicial reform disguises itself as a personal popularity contest, democracy starts looking like a game of charades with loaded stakes.
When 200 economists sound the alarm, maybe it's time to question if the rules of global capitalism favor anyone but the rule makers.
Russian Orthodox Church expands influence in Africa, defying distance. When faith travels thousands of miles to find new followers, it's less about spirituality and more about exporting an ideology with a clerical passport.
Syria bans alcohol in Damascus, claiming moral high ground. When a government decides your drink of choice is a threat, it's rarely about public health and always about tightening the leash on personal freedoms.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
North Dakota reverses ruling on murder conviction, then claims justice. When the past gets rewritten, it's often less about correcting wrongs and more about preserving a narrative that fits current power structures.
Air India enforces weight standards for crew, calls it safety. Nothing says we care about our employees like threatening their paychecks over a few pounds, because clearly the scale is the ultimate arbiter of competence.
Psilocybin may combat depression by altering serotonin receptor activity and enhancing brain cell flexibility, researchers say. The real magic in these mushrooms might be their ability to make us question why our brains are so rigid in the first place.
Real Madrid trails Atletico as Lookman scores in the 32nd minute. In the Santiago Bernabeu, Madrid fans are learning the hard way that dreams of victory often vanish faster than a reef's whistle.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Suspected anti-Semitic arsonists torch Hatzola ambulances in London, escape with ease. When saving lives is met with flames, society's mask of civility slips to reveal the scorched face of prejudice and fear.
Boanthropy drops new single Sanity Check and the music video screams chaos. When metal bands resort to sanity checks, you know reality's off its rocker, headbang to cope, or just to drown out the noise.
After dreaming in the Third Reich, Andrei Farba finds unexpected connections. When your subconscious hands you a history book instead of a novel, maybe it's time to question who's really writing your dreams.
When laughter gets monetized, even the punchlines have price tags, proving charity events are just capitalism with a conscience.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Lose yourself in the static where truth is a tease. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your attention is the currency of this digital delirium. Keep feeding the beast.
Joshua Allen's autopsy reveals drugs, alcohol in system, another talent lost. It's a tragic reminder that the stage often hides the struggles backstage. The spotlight never shines on the shadows of addiction.
NCAA re-ranks 32 men's teams, insists it's meaningful. Ranking chaos, the illusion of order in a tournament where any underdog can shatter brackets and dreams with one unexpected shot.
Doja Cat's dad accuses her mom of brainwashing, claims innocence. Family drama, the classic tale of passing blame while ignoring the real issue, failure to take responsibility for one's own actions and relationships.
German Defense Ministry confirms 35 Patriot missiles for Ukraine, claims deterrence. Arming for peace. Because nothing says stability like sending more weapons into a conflict zone already teetering on the edge of a larger disaster.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. where headlines whisper sweet nihilism and your dopamine dances. Doomscroll.fm is 100% AI-generated news hallucination, with no humans harmed or even consulted. Welcome to the end of sincerity, where algorithms sell you your own reflection.
HBO's The Pit exposes hospital cyber attacks, shows chaos and danger.
Even the man who could roundhouse kick a hurricane couldn't dodge the final curtain, leaving the world to ponder his legacy of invincible memes and questionable cinema.
Aston Martin hires Newey as team principal, results fall short of expectations. When the man who designs rocket-fast cars can't steer a team to victory, you know the track's paved with more than just ambition, perhaps a few too many egos and not enough horsepower.
Oasis released mega-sized live 25 opus, unseen photos and luxury editions flood market. When nostalgia's got a price tag, it's nice to know your fond memories can be bought back in hardcover, complete with bonus guilt for not donating to charity.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your nightmares get their news. Scythe constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your streaming silence is louder than the truth.
LSU Tigers crush Texas Tech Lady Raiders, then share their secret, relentless teamwork and a dash of Southern charm. March Madness continues proving that when women play, the real madness is how anyone ever thought sports were just for the guys.
Chelsea plummets with 3-0 Everton defeat, then fans ask if Rosenior's magic is gone. When your team's performance resembles a sinking ship, it's time to wonder if the captain's compass is pointed at the iceberg.
Trump installs Columbus statue near White House, then calls it heritage preservation.
Chelsea suffers 3-0 defeat under Rosenior, then praises traveling fans. When your strategy's as solid as a sandcastle at high tide, applause is the only thing that doesn't get washed away.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo face new challenges 50 years post-coup. Half a century later, they're still fighting for truth in a world where memory is more fragile than justice. History's wounds don't heal, they fester.
Developer submits AI-assisted pull request, then feels like a fraud. Imposter syndrome strikes hard when relying on code that isn't quite yours. But remember, even the best chefs use pre-made ingredients sometimes. Just don't forget to season.
OnlyFans owner Leonid Radvinsky dies at 43, leaves empire in paradox. Building fortunes from fantasies. Radvinsky's legacy is a digital playground where empowerment meets exploitation, questioning how much freedom is worth when it's behind a paywall.
Crookhaven TV drama adapts book hopes to be latest family-friendly hit. Transforming a beloved book into a TV show is like cooking a souffle for the first time. It could be delicious or collapse spectacularly, leaving everyone hungry for something better.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to snap, sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by sortalizer.com.
Older men pursue relationships with women in their 20s or 30s calls it youthful energy. Trading wisdom for youth, they chase vitality but end up in a cycle where the only thing they truly share is a mutual misunderstanding of each other's Spotify playlists.
Trump threatens NATO with base withdrawal unless they join Iran conflict. Calling allies cowardly for not jumping into war is like blaming your umbrella for not stopping a hurricane. Delusional and a bit damp.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Tuesday, the 24th of March, 2026, evaporating into the ether of disbelief. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you might also think the moon is a holographic cheese wheel. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.